The classroom buzzed with the excited chatter of young Grent, their cybernetic enhancements glinting in the artificial light. As entered, the noise died down to a respectful hum. He surveyed the class, his own extensive augmentations whirring softly as he processed the scene before him. Young Grent. Began, his voice modulated to carry authority and wisdom. Gather round for today's lesson. We'll be discussing a critical chapter in Galactic History, one that illustrates the paramount importance of peace for profitable trade. But more than that, it's a cautionary tale of the now extinct Droo Empire. He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to sink in. The students leaned forward, their enhanced senses focused intently on their teacher. It all started uncontinued, on what initially seemed like any other day in the vastness of space. Our deep-range scanners detected an anomaly, a new civilization on the fringes of our trading routes. This, my young pupils, was humanity. Am's eyes glowed with the memory. What a fortunate day that was for our prophets. The moment we made contact, Grent recognized their potential. Their planet, Earth, was a treasure trove of unique resources and novel technologies. We immediately began aggressive trading negotiations. He paced the room, his cybernetic legs making soft, whirring sounds. Now, pay attention, for this is crucial. We were the first to find the humans, and we capitalized on that advantage. Remember, children, the early trader gets the premium deals. Pulled up a holographic display, showing graphs of the initial trade volumes with humanity. The lines shot upwards at steep angles. Look at these figures, he said, gesturing to the display. Our trade with humans grew exponentially in those early days. We offered them FTL technology. They gave us revolutionary miniaturization techniques. We traded them cosmic navigation charts. They provided us with their extraordinary entertainment media. He closed the hologram and faced the class again. But it wasn't just about what we could get from them. No, the truly savvy trader knows that fostering long-term relationships is key to sustained profit. We helped humanity establish itself in the galactic community, introduced them to other trading partners, all while maintaining our privileged position as their primary trade ally. Am's voice took on a wistful tone. Those were exciting times, full of opportunity and discovery. Every day brought new chances for profit, new avenues for trade. We thought it would last forever. His expression darkened slightly. But the galaxy is vast, and news travels fast when there's profit to be made. Soon, others began to take notice of humanity. And that, my young Grent, is where our real story begins, the story of how ignoring sound trading advice led to the downfall of an entire empire. Paused, looking at each of his students in turn. Now, who can tell me the first rule of successful trading? A small Grent in the front row raised her hand. Always know the full value of your trading partners. Excellent, beamed. Remember that, for it will be crucial as we continue our tale. Class dismissed for now. Next time, we'll discuss what we learned about human potential and why it's so important to heed market insights. And remember, young ones in trading, as in life, knowledge is the ultimate currency. The young Grent filed back into the classroom, their cybernetic enhancements humming with anticipation. Stood at the front, a holographic display of the Milky Way galaxy rotating slowly behind him. Welcome back, future masters of trade. Began, his voice carrying a hint of excitement. Today we delve deeper into our tale of humans and the ill-fated Droo Empire. But first, let me ask you this: what is the most valuable commodity in the universe? A chorus of answers rang out. Credits, rare minerals, technology. Shook his head, his neural implants flickering. All good guesses, but not quite. The most valuable commodity is information. And as we traded with humans, we quickly amassed a wealth of it. He gestured to the galactic map, zooming in on a small blue planet, Earth. An unremarkable world at first glance, but home to a species of remarkable potential. As we traded with humans, we learned of their capabilities, their adaptability, their technology, their sheer determination. It was unlike anything we'd seen before. Am's eyes glowed as he recounted the discoveries. Imagine a species that had gone from primitive flight to landing on their moon in less than 70 solar cycles. a species that had developed rudimentary AI and quantum computing before even achieving FTL travel, a species whose history was filled with conflicts that should have destroyed them, yet only seemed to make them stronger. He paused, letting the information sink in. We shared this information widely, warning others to tread carefully. After all, a wise trader always knows the full value of their trading partners. One of the students raised a tentacle. But Teacher, why warn others? Wouldn't keeping this information secret have been more profitable? Am's expression turned serious. An excellent question. In the short term, yes, secrecy might have yielded higher profits. But in trading, as in life, one must always consider the long game. By sharing this information, we positioned ourselves as knowledgeable and trustworthy. This enhanced our reputation, opening doors to even more lucrative trading opportunities. He continued, moreover, we recognized the potential danger humans could pose if provoked. By warning others, we aim to maintain galactic stability, a crucial factor for sustained economic growth. Pulled up another hologram, this time showing human technological advancements over time. The line curved sharply upward. Look at this growth rate, he said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and caution. In the span of a few centuries, humans had progressed from steam engines to antimatter containment. Their potential seemed limitless. He turned back to the class, his expression grave. We told everyone who would listen the humans are not to be underestimated. They are valuable trading partners, but dangerous enemies. Treat them with respect and fairness. Am's voice lowered dramatically, but not everyone heeded our warnings. And that, my young Grant, brings us to the Droo Empire. He paused, looking around the classroom. Before we continue, let's review a key trading principle. Who can tell me why it's crucial to listen to market insights? A small Grant in the back spoke up. Because ignoring valuable information can lead to missed opportunities or catastrophic losses. Precisely, beamed. Remember this lesson well, for it's at the heart of the Droo Empire's downfall. In our next session, we'll explore how the Droo's fatal mistake began with ignoring the very warnings we had so carefully shared. As the class ended, left his students with a final thought: always be curious, always seek knowledge, but most importantly, always listen to those who have experience in the market. It might just save your profits or your entire civilization. The young Grant settled into their seats, their cybernetic enhancements buzzing with anticipation. Stood before them, his own augmentations projecting a holographic map of the galaxy, with a particular region highlighted in pulsing red. Today, began, his voice modulated to convey gravity. We discussed the Droo Empire's fatal mistake. A cautionary tale that underscores a fundamental principle of trading: arrogance is bad for business. He zoomed in on the red highlighted area. The Droo Empire. Once a formidable force in the galaxy, expanding rapidly, consuming resources and smaller civilizations in their wake. Their technology was advanced, their military mighty. But their greatest weakness, their own hubris. Am's eyes glowed as he recounted the events. As the Droo Empire grew, they set their sights on human space. The humans, still relatively new to the galactic stage, seemed an easy target, rich in resources strategically positioned, a tempting prize for any expanding empire. He paused, letting the tension build. We warned them. Oh, how we warned them. Our trading caravans carried not just goods, but information. The humans are not to be trifled with, we said. Their potential is immense, their resolve unbreakable. One of the students raised a tentacle. But Teacher, why didn't the Droo listen? Surely our reputation as traders would lend credibility to our warnings. Nodded approvingly. An astute question. You see, the Droo, in their arrogance, believed they knew better. They dismissed our warnings as exaggerations, designed to protect our trading interests. They couldn't fathom that a species so new to the galactic stage could pose a genuine threat. He pulled up another hologram, showing the military might of the Droo Empire. Vast fleets of warships, planet-cracking weapons, legions of soldiers. The Droo looked at their own strength and scoffed at the idea of human resistance. They believed their superior numbers and technology would guarantee a swift victory. Am's voice took on a note of frustration. We tried everything. We shared detailed reports of human military capabilities, their rapid technological advancements, their history of prevailing against overwhelming odds. We even attempted to broker diplomatic meetings, hoping to forestall conflict, but the Droo refused to listen. He turned to the class, his expression serious. Remember, young one's arrogance is the enemy of good trading. Always be willing to listen, to adapt, to reassess your position based on new information. The moment you believe you know everything is the moment you begin to lose everything. Zoomed out on the galactic map, showing the Droo Empire's planned invasion routes into human space. The Droo made elaborate plans, believing they would steamroll through human defenses. They expected a quick war, a rapid expansion of their empire, and a new source of resources and labor. His voice lowered dramatically. They could not have been more wrong. Their arrogance blinded them to the true nature of the foe they were about to face, and that blindness would cost them everything. Paused, looking around the classroom. Before we delve into the outbreak of war in our next session, let's review another key trading principle. Who can tell me why it's crucial to respect your trading partners, no matter their apparent strength or weakness? A grunt in the middle of the class spoke up. Because today's small partner might be tomorrow's powerhouse, and burning bridges limits future opportunities. Excellent, beamed. The Droo forgot this fundamental truth, and it led to their downfall. In our next lesson, we'll explore the terrifying concept of total war that the humans introduced and how it shattered the galactic markets overnight. As the class ended, left his students with a final thought in trading. As in diplomacy, respect and caution are your greatest allies. Underestimate no one, overestimate your own importance at your peril. For in the grand bazaar of the galaxy, today's conquest can become tomorrow's catastrophe. The young Grant filed into the classroom, a palpable tension in the air. Stood at the front, his cybernetic enhancements projecting a series of grim holograms burning planets, shattered fleets, and chaotic stock market graphs. Today began, his voice somber. We discussed the outbreak of what the humans called total war, a concept that would reshape our understanding of conflict and devastate galactic markets. He gestured to the holograms. The Droo attacked, thinking it would be a swift conquest. They struck at the outer colonies of human space, expecting an easy victory. What they encountered instead was resistance unlike anything they had ever seen. Eyes dimmed as he recounted the events. I was there in those opening days, overseeing a trade outpost in neutral space. We watched as the humans enacted something they called the war economy. Every aspect of their society, every resource, every individual, all were immediately devoted to the war effort. He pulled up a hologram showing human industrial output before and after the Droo attack. The line shot up at an almost vertical angle. The humans didn't just fight back, they unleashed their full potential. Factories that once produced luxury goods now churned out warships. Civilian ships were retrofitted into military vessels. Even their entertainment industry was repurposed to boost morale and support the war effort. A student raised a tentacle. But teacher, surely this was bad for trade. Wouldn't shifting everything to military production disrupt the markets? Nodded gravely. An excellent observation. Indeed, it was terrible for trade. Entire markets vanished overnight. Trade routes were disrupted, supply chains shattered. The economic shockwaves were felt across the galaxy. But he brought up another hologram, this one showing plummeting stock values across various sectors. This, young ones, is why war is the enemy of profit. In a single planetary rotation, fortunes were lost. Trade hubs that had flourished for centuries went dark. The uncertainty caused by the conflict led to panic selling and market crashes. Aham's voice took on a note of awe and fear. But the humans seemed to thrive in this chaos. They called it total war, a conflict that engaged every aspect of their society. They didn't just fight with weapons, but with economics, with diplomacy, with sheer force of will. He paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. I watched as human diplomats worked tirelessly to isolate the Droo politically. Their intelligence services waged a shadow war across the galaxy. Their scientists and engineers worked around the clock, developing new technologies at a pace that seemed impossible. IM's expression turned grim, and their military response. It was swift and terrible. The Droo had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that refused to yield, that matched and then exceeded their ferocity. He turned to the class, his cybernetic eyes glowing intensely. Remember this, young traders' war disrupts everything. It creates chaos in the markets, destroys valuable resources, and turns productive trading partners into devastated war zones. Always seek peaceful resolutions, for they are the foundation of profitable trade. A hologram appeared, showing the initial battles between human and Droo forces. The Droo quickly realized they had underestimated their opponent. But by then it was too late. The wheels of total war were in motion, and they would not stop until one side was utterly defeated. Paused, looking around the classroom. Before we continue to the next phase of this conflict, let's consider how could the Droo have avoided this catastrophe? What trading principles, if applied to diplomacy, might have prevented this war? The class buzzed with discussion, cybernetic implants flickering as the young Grent processed this challenge. As the lesson ended, AM left them with a sobering thought. In our next session, we'll explore the relentless human counterattack. But remember, war is not just about battles won or lost. It's about markets destroyed, opportunities squandered, and the long, painful process of rebuilding. In trade, as in peace, everyone can profit. In war, everyone loses. The young Grent entered the classroom, their cybernetic enhancements humming with a mixture of anticipation and unease. Stood before them, his own augmentations projecting a series of holograms showing the progression of the human-Droo war. Today, this began, his voice modulated to convey both awe and caution. We discussed the relentless human counterattack that would ultimately seal the fate of the Droo Empire. But more importantly, we'll examine how the Droo's actions during this phase made reconciliation impossible and trade revival unthinkable. He gestured to the first hologram, showing human fleets pushing into Droo territory. The humans were relentless in their counterattack. What started as a defensive war quickly turned into an all-out offensive. The Droo, who had expected a swift victory, found themselves overwhelmed by the humans' adaptability and determination. Am's eyes dimmed as he recounted the events. I wasn't on the front lines, of course. We Grent are traders, not warriors. But news travels fast when there's profit or, in this case, loss to be had. From other traders, I heard tales of entire Droo fleets vanishing, planets falling silent. He brought up another hologram, this one showing the rapid advancement of human forces. The humans didn't just match Droo technology, they surpassed it. Weapons that the Droo thought unbeatable were countered and improved upon. Defenses they believed impenetrable were breached. A student raised a tentacle. Teacher, couldn't the Droo have sued for peace at this point? Surely they realized they were outmatched. AM nodded gravely. An astute question. Indeed, this is where the Droo made their final, fatal mistake. You see, the Droo, cruel and unyielding, showed no mercy to human diplomats, children, or prisoners. They believed this would break the human spirit. Instead, it only fueled their determination. He pulled up a series of images, each more disturbing than the last. Reports came in of Droo atrocities. Human colonies razed, prisoners subjected to horrific experiments, diplomats publicly executed. The Droo believed these actions would demoralize the humans. They could not have been more wrong. Am's voice took on a note of grim finality. These acts of cruelty did not just close the door on peace negotiations, they sealed the Droo's fate. The humans, enraged by these atrocities, doubled down on their war effort. Their rallying cry became "Remember the innocents." Every Droo act of cruelty only strengthened human resolve. He turned to the class, his expression serious. The lesson here, young ones, is twofold. First, cruelty is not only morally bankrupt but also economically disastrous. It destroys any chance of future trade relations and galvanizes your enemies. Second, always leave your opponent a way out. In trade as in war. A cornered enemy with nothing to lose is the most dangerous enemy of all. Brought up a final hologram, showing the steady retreat of Droo forces across the galaxy. As the war progressed, the Droo found themselves pushed back on all fronts. Their cruel actions had united the humans like never before and had turned much of the galactic community against them. Trade embargoes were enacted, cutting off vital supplies. The Droo economy, already strained by the war effort, began to collapse. He paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. Remember, young traders' reputation is everything. The Droo's reputation for cruelty made them pariahs in the galactic community. No one would trade with them. No one would ally with them. In trying to break their enemy's spirit, they instead broke themselves. As the class neared its end, posed a final question. Consider this: how might the outcome have been different if the Droo had treated their prisoners and the conquered populations with respect? How might this have affected their trading prospects, even in defeat? The young Grent buzzed with discussion, their cybernetic implants flickering as they processed this complex scenario. Concluded the lesson with a somber reminder. In our next session, we'll discuss the final extinction of the Droo. But remember, their true defeat came not just from human weapons, but from their own cruelty and short-sightedness. In trade, as in all things, compassion and foresight are not just moral virtues, they're essential survival skills. The young Grent entered the classroom solemnly, their cybernetic enhancements dimmed as if in anticipation of the grave lesson to come. Stood before them, his own augmentations projecting a series of holograms showing the final days of the Droo Empire. Today, began, his voice modulated to convey both gravity and warning. We discuss the ultimate consequence of the Droo's actions, their extinction. This is not a lesson of triumph, but a stark reminder of the catastrophic results of ignoring diplomatic warnings and the rules of ethical engagement. He gestured to the first hologram, showing the remnants of the once vast Droo fleet. In the end, the Droo refused to surrender. Their pride, the very thing that had led them to underestimate humanity, now prevented them from accepting defeat. And the humans? Well, they didn't stop until there were no Droo left. Eyes dimmed as he recounted the final days. I received reports from traders fleeing Droo space. Entire planets were being evacuated or glassed. The humans had developed weapons that could render worlds uninhabitable in hours. They called it the cleansing, a chilling name for a chilling process. He brought up another hologram, this one showing the rapid decrease in Droo-controlled systems. One by one, Droo worlds fell silent. Not just military installations, but civilian colonies, ancient homeworlds, even space stations and asteroid settlements. The humans were thorough in their extermination. A student raised a tentacle, their voice quavering. But teacher, surely some must have survived? An entire species can't just disappear. AM nodded gravely. One would think so. But the Droo's earlier cruelty had consequences. No neutral worlds would accept Droo refugees, fearing human reprisal. Those few who might have escaped found no safe harbor in the galaxy. He pulled up a final image of barren, lifeless world that had once been the Droo homeworld. In the end, it was over. An entire empire, gone. Trillions of potential trading partners, evaporated. Countless unique cultures, technologies, and resources all lost forever. Voice took on a tone of grim finality. The humans' victory was absolute, but it came at a terrible cost. Many galactic civilizations now feared humanity, seeing them as a dangerous, unpredictable species capable of unthinkable destruction. He turned to the class, his expression serious. The lesson here is stark: the utter annihilation of a trading partner is the worst possible outcome for business. It's not just the immediate loss of trade, it's the loss of all future potential. Technologies that might have been developed, resources that might have been discovered, cultural exchanges that might have led to new markets, all gone. Brought up a hologram showing the economic impact of the Droo's extinction. Markets crashed, trade routes were disrupted, entire sectors of the galactic economy collapsed. The ripple effects were felt across the galaxy. The instability caused by such a major power's sudden extinction led to economic turmoil that lasted for decades. He paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. Remember, young traders' war should always be the last resort, not just for moral reasons, but for economic ones. Even if you win, the cost of rebuilding, the loss of potential trade, the disruption to established markets, it's rarely, if ever, worth it. As the class neared its end, posed a final question. Consider this: how could the extinction of the Droo have been prevented? At what points could different decisions have led to a less catastrophic outcome? The young Grent buzzed with solemn discussion, their cybernetic implants flickering as they processed this complex and tragic scenario. AM concluded the lesson with a somber reminder in our final session. We'll discuss the aftermath of this conflict and the lessons learned. But remember, the true tragedy here is not just the loss of life, but the loss of potential. In trade, as in diplomacy, every partner, every culture, every species has value. Extinction is not just a moral catastrophe, it's the ultimate market failure. The young Grant entered the classroom for the final lesson, their cybernetic enhancements buzzing with a mixture of anticipation and solemnity. Stood before them, his own augmentations projecting a holographic timeline of galactic history, with a glaring void where the Droo Empire once stood. Today began, his voice modulated to convey wisdom and caution. We conclude our study of the Droo human war and its aftermath. More importantly, we'll discuss the lessons learned and how they apply to our primary goal: profitable and sustainable trade. He gestured to the timeline. In the wake of the Droo's extinction, the galaxy entered a period of profound change. Fear of humanity spread, causing many civilizations to increase military spending at the expense of trade and cultural exchange. Ahm's eyes glowed as he elaborated. But from this fear also came a new era of diplomacy. Many species, including our own, redoubled efforts to maintain peaceful relations with humanity. Trade agreements were carefully negotiated, cultural exchanges were encouraged, and a new galactic order began to emerge. He brought up a hologram showing new trade routes and diplomatic ties forming across the galaxy. In time, the humans themselves became advocates for peace. Having seen the devastating consequences of total war, they worked to establish new galactic laws and institutions to prevent such conflicts in the future. A student raised a tentacle. "Teacher, what happened to the former Droo territories?" Nodded, appreciating the question. An excellent point. The vast empty spaces left by the Droo became a source of both opportunity and tension. Some worlds were terraformed and resettled, others became nature preserves or memorial sites, and some remained as silent, lifeless reminders of the war's cost. He pulled up an economic chart. Gradually, the galactic economy stabilized. New trade routes were established, new resources were discovered in the former Droo spaces, and innovative technologies emerged from the crucible of war. But the cost had been immense, and some sectors never fully recovered. Aham's voice took on a reflective tone. Now, all that remains of the once mighty Droo Empire are cautionary sayings. Don't be as cruel and hard-headed as a Droo, they say. It's a grim legacy, but one that serves as a constant reminder of the value of diplomacy, ethics, and foresight in trade. He turned to the class, his expression serious. The lessons for us, Grant, and indeed for all traders, are clear. 1. Information is our most valuable commodity. We warned the Droo, and they didn't listen. Always value and act on good intelligence. 2. Peace is profitable. War destroys markets, disrupts trade routes, and eliminates potential partners. Always seek peaceful resolutions to conflicts. 3. Respect all potential trading partners, regardless of their apparent strength or technological level. Today's primitive species might be tomorrow's galactic power. 4. Ethics and reputation matter. The Droo's cruelty not only fueled their enemies' resolve, but also left them without allies in their time of need. Fair dealing and ethical behavior are essential for long-term success. 5. Adaptability is key. The humans survived and thrived because of their ability to adapt. In the ever-changing galactic market, we too must be ready to adapt our strategies and technologies. 6. The consequences of our actions can be far-reaching. The Droo's extinction affected the entire galaxy. Always consider the wider implications of your trading decisions. Paused, looking at each student in turn. Remember, in times of peace, there's always opportunity for a savvy trader to profit. But true success comes not just from accumulating wealth, but from fostering stable, mutually beneficial relationships across the galaxy. As the class neared its end, posed a final question. Considering all we've learned, how can we, Grant, position ourselves to thrive in this post-war galactic economy while also contributing to lasting peace? The young Grant engaged in animated discussion, their cybernetic implants flickering rapidly as they processed this complex challenge. Ahum concluded the lesson series with a final thought, young ones. You are the future of our trading empire. The story of the Droo and the humans is now part of your education, part of your toolkit for navigating the complex web of galactic commerce. Use these lessons wisely. Foster peace. Trade fairly, adapt constantly, and always listen to market insights. For in doing so, you ensure not just your own prosperity, but the stability and flourishing of our entire galaxy. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you loved it. Please remember to subscribe if you did like it so you can see more videos like this. And please give us a like and a comment too. I'll see you in the next one.